Elderly neighbor behaves like a child during parking disupti. My housemate and I are in our 20s and live in a unit block with a remote-controlled gate and allocated parking spaces. It's pretty common for residents and tradespeople to park in the shared driveway, inside or outside the gate, for short periods of time, while unloading large items, since there's very rarely available street parking nearby, and everyone is usually pretty chill about it. My housemate and I are moving and figured a way to get both of our cars into the car park to load with boxes, furniture, so we don't have to be constantly shuffling cars. Our car spot is the one at the farthest end of the car park, next to the building. My car was parked there, and my housemate was parked behind me, which doesn't block the driveway or any other parking spot, only the one that belongs to me. We've spoken to the owners of the two closest parking spots about it, and they said it's totally fine because we only do it for short periods of time, and anyway it doesn't block them getting in or out of their spots. This morning, while we were inside getting boxes, our elderly neighbor from 3 spots down took offense to the fact that my housemate's car wasn't in an allocated bay, so he decided to park across 2 other units' parking spaces to block us in. We came outside, finished packing, and tried to get out around his car, but there wasn't enough room, so we found out whose car it was, and my housemate went to knock on the door. First, he refused to open his door to speak to her, so my housemate, who is deaf, came to get me because she couldn't hear what he was saying with the door between them, but she could hear that he was yelling, and she wasn't comfortable. I went to talk to him, and he also yelled at me through the door and wouldn't open it to speak to me until I specifically asked if he could, so we could work it out face to face. Then he initially refused to move his car and kept saying he was going to call the police and have us fined, despite the fact that he was also parked illegally. I pointed that out, and he told me it was different for him because he's an owner. His granddaughter, had to come out and convince him to just move his car into his unobstructed car spot so my housemate could leave. He finally came outside and started pointing at the no visitor parking signs. I apologized and told him that we do live there and we are moving out, hence why we needed to have both cars there to pack. He refused to believe me. I have met this man several times and introduced myself by name and unit number, and I say hello every time I see him around, but I guess he didn't remember my face because he was convinced we were guests and demanding to know who we were visiting and how we got through the gate. I said we used our gate remote. He kept talking over me and asking where we'd gotten a gate remote and who had given to us. I said, the real estate, because we live here, and asked if he would like to come to our unit and see all the moving boxes inside to prove that we were who we said we were, and he just walked off. He finally got in his car and moved it into his parking spot, and my housemate left in her car, and I waited for him to finish very, very slowly parking so I could apologize again and thank him for working it out. While I was waiting, his granddaughter came outside and apologized to me for his behavior, and I explained why we're parked like that, and she was really nice and understanding. When he finally finished parking, I went up to him, said thank you, and sorry, it won't happen again. He blew straight past me and didn't acknowledge that I was standing there speaking to him at all. It really felt like the way a little kid storms off after losing an argument, and I was pretty shocked to have a fully grown adult behave so rudely when I was being polite and thanking him, even though he was the only problem in the situation. The kicker is, my housemate's car was nowhere near his parking spot and not obstructing anything. It just wasn't in an allocated bay. His car, however, was blocking the driveway, 2 of the neighbors' car parking spots, and at least 4 cars. But since he's an owner and we're just lowly renters, he fully believed we were the ones in the wrong.